You always use that active red light defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
People deluded,
Oh
I'm
shit.
back again.
Come on, Ian.
It's on loop. Alright, now sorry about that, people. It's on loop. It's on loop. It's on loop. It's on loop. Technical difficulties, but we're here now. People deluded. I'm back again. Special guest settings, man. With us, obviously signing Gabriel Jesus. It's 2 birds, 1 stone because he's making his debut. Hey, Daps, we say, man. Finally found a City fan. I didn't know you lot existed, man.
I haven't heard that one before, bro. You know what? You get away with once because it's the first time on.
Come on, my guy. You're actually the first City fan I got as well.
Me, Big Steve, Jan.
Hey, Bob, there's hardly any of you. Obviously, before we kick off, I'm going to be plugging your channel throughout the stream. But for people who haven't heard about you, let them know where you're at and things like that. And, and what you're about and all them things there.
Yeah, so MCFC Daps on Instagram and Twitter. I prefer Instagram, don't really rate Twitter. And the channel is Never a Foul on YouTube, which is generic. There it is. It's generic. You will find City content on there. Man.
Everything. Arsenal, United, City, European football. Go and show them some love and subscribe and that. Like you said, they cover everything. And, you know, I'm pretty sure you have I saw a live come subscribe on my actual one. You lot got something for 10:30 or something, right? I'm sure there's a schedule.
We've got one tonight. We do 2 shows a day. And then we've also got Trafford Tunnel, which is a separate channel, which is a United channel, which Hold Tight Ty runs.
Shout out Ty as well, man.
And then we got Feed the Goat, which a couple of other City fans. There are other City fans that they run. And I go on there sometimes, but I'm trying to do my own thing at the moment and let their man stand on their own 2 feet and whatever. So, yeah. And then catch me everywhere. I'm everywhere.
He's on Matisse's stuff tonight as well. People pause. He's doing the Love Island. He does it all, man. He does it all.
You do the pause like me, bro. We do the pause like me. And then I'm on Big Six occasionally. Yeah, but you know what I get about, as you say, the beauty of there not being too many City fans is I get the shout. Like I get the shout all the time. So it's all good. And yeah, for anyone that is watching this and can hear my accent, yes, I live down south.
You just opened yourself up for that one. I don't think anyone was going to say anything.
No, I have to, bro. I've got a chip on my shoulder about it because I get it all the time. I get in beef with City fans at the game sometimes.
Bloody hell, I didn't think it's that tribal, man.
Nah, so I was born in North London. My granddad is a Gooner, or my granddad was a Gooner. My mum born and raised Barnet, and then I moved to. My dad was Bournemouth, and then when I was 3, moved up to Manchester till I was 15. That's why I support City in it. My stepdad that raised me in City. And I go most games home and away and Champions League and whatever. So yeah, there we go. Quick one.
So what? You never, obviously, them times there, you know, United and City were in 2 different places. I know you said, you know, there's obviously family ties and stuff. Why didn't why aren't you a Red Devil? Why you a boy in blue?
My dad that raised me was blue. His dad was blue. My sister, who still lives up there, she's blue. Her other half's a Scouser. That's mad. Oh wow!
Christmas time's fun,
listen, man. And the thing is, my dad raised me to not like Scousers. I'm not gonna lie, bro. The City, like most City fans, hate United more than they hate Liverpool. But some, and I'm one of the ones that I can't stand Liverpool. Like my dad and my sister rebelled. She went and married one. So
where did it come from? Where does it come from? Because obviously, maybe in today's day and age, you lot are competing for the title. But you know, I'm only 27, so I've never seen you lot in the same hemisphere.
So it's what it is it's not football. It's basically Manchester and Liverpool have never got on from like back in like the docks and the canals ultimately, and kind of distribution of stuff into the UK. And I just remember as a kid, I'm not even. Listen, my dad just didn't like as a Manc, you don't like Scousers, and as Scouser, you don't like a Manc. Obviously, the Man United and Liverpool one's different, but yeah, that's just is how it is for me. So, and you know what? I'll be honest. Living down here and growing up, most of my bedrooms are Arsenal fans.
I mean, we're global, man. We might not have the trophies and stuff, but it's calm, man. We still got that pool. What was I gonna say?
And until Arteta moved, yeah, I couldn't stand you, man. I swear down.
What did we do? We ain't got beef with you. You lot used to get
you lot did.
You lot players to help you lot.
You lot didn't. Just my brethrens. That's the issue.
Oh yeah, it's one of them.
You know what it's like? One of them ones where your friends are just
your friends make you hate clubs and players.
Yeah,
you just want to get onto them. I hear that. So what? Obviously, because you're a boyhood City fan and stuff, obviously you mentioned Thierry Henry, Ian Wright to me. That's everything in it, and Vieira and them things. Where is it at for you?
So this is funny because when you talk on it, yeah, it's funny now because they're not. The levels aren't the same, but like
no, man, it's not even about that. This is
like
we're all on this football thing, man.
Uwe Rosler will always be. Uwe Rosler will always be my he's a manager now. I think like he will always be my hero. Georgie Kinkladze, everyone knows Kinkladze.
Yeah, everyone knows him.
Even Gary Flitcroft was another one. Like he
man said Stephen Island.
Nah, that was too. That was
that
was recent. That was kind of recent, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Well, we lost him. Oh, you're
no,
back.
I'm here. Yeah. Uwe Rosler and Kinkladze were the two. Peter Beagrie as well, who's a winger. Ooh. Yeah. Keith Curl, centre back. Did Keith go for you? Now, and I'll tell you another one, Rocky Rocastle.
R.I.P. man. R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
He played
the Arsenal
and
City. We get on, man. He gave us Jesus and that. So what in the present day? Obviously, there's the Agueros, there's Yaya Toures, there's however many. Who's it in the present day for you? David Silva, even I would.
Silva's, yeah. See, Company's my company now is my all-time.
Zalbaleta.
He was a captain because he was captain and was there before the money and whatever. Modern day is in right now. Bernardo Silva and Foden.
Yeah,
Foden,
I mean, I get the Foden one. Yeah. Homegrown, he's always got that. Bernardo Silva, obviously, in present day, listen, take nothing away from the man's ability. I wanted him when he was at Monaco and that. Yeah. Why is it in the modern day him now? Obviously, terrific player, but that's like a real quick one. He's been there for 2 minutes.
Been there for longer than you think. Been there for 4 or 5
years. Yeah, he's been there for a hot second.
Now, you know what it is, yeah? It's firstly, he's an absolute baller. Like I call him this. I call him a sexy Kante because he's like Kante with the legs. He gets around, but then he can do the sexy shit as well. Like he can do. But the stuff with him is like there's one moment that I always remember was when we did the domestic treble. Yeah, at the parade, he was interviewed. And he was just pissed off the whole time that we hadn't gone further in the Champions League because I think we'd only hit like the quarters or something. And it was like this man's mentality is just different. Like
different, isn't it?
He's not celebrating. And then the other thing is the stuff like he gets a rivalry with Liverpool. Like when we had to do the and he just dipped off, just ducked off, wasn't interested. Like just look, I've said it, and it might be a bit over the top, but if Bernardo Silva goes this summer, I see that as almost as important in the opposite way as Haaland coming in.
I see your angle, man. I think Bernardo Silva, just as an outsider looking in, his ability, he's always been there. I just think as an outsider looking at City, everyone's got ability. And then there's been times where like Bernardo's been the one, Foden's been the one, Gundogan's been the one. And if you're not kind of that, then Pep's gonna kind of drop you out. Where you at with Bernardo Silva? Because every summer it looks like he's gonna go. And obviously he's not a boy. He loves City, of course, but he's from Portugal. It's a job. Boyhood, but he wants to go Barca and that. I don't know if it happened, but
it's a mad one. Like with Bernardo Silva, because he went through that little dip where he wasn't playing as much, and that's something I was saying, and that was when I think Rodri was one season in, and it was like Rodri Gundo, and I was saying for Rodri to work, they have to have Bernardo Silva in that team because if they ain't got his legs, that don't work. They need his energy. His energy is everything. He wanted to go last summer, didn't go. This summer, we'll see because Barcelona are just holding up the whole football world. But I feel
blocked us with Rafinha, man.
Yeah, both. Or
before Chelsea got involved as well.
No. You know what? Yeah, real talk. Yeah, if it wasn't for the madness, Matisse did a really good video where he was talking about with a Alex, someone, a Barcelona journalist, and he's breaking down the whole Deco Laporte relationship and how basically that whole thing is just very clever business for Deco's going to end up earning more money. And I do think you man would have got him if that wasn't going on. I think you lot I said this at the start. I think the fact that he's been waiting on the Liverpool move for so long, you lot were doing your business very early and you were being clever because you didn't get Champions League football. Because you didn't get Champions League football, it's like you were using you were finding still that level players, but that needed game time and wanted a move, and you were moving quickly and just. But with Bernardo, I just think if we need to keep him one more season, and I think that's what will happen. I think we'll have a chat with him. I think he'll be convinced to stay one more season, and then he'll go next summer. I think it's like personal. I think probably him and his missus want to have a kid or something and get closer to home.
Closer to home, yeah. It's not.
But we need to find a replacement because at the moment
you'll always find these guys, man. You will. I wanted to ask you as well. Obviously, out of all the clubs that are elite in this present day and stuff like you lot are bullying the league. I like Pep's approach because it's almost like I want you to stay, but you can kind of go. It's not that you lot don't put up a fight. It's like, all right, if you want to go, you can kind of go. What is that feeling like as a City fan? Because obviously we're gonna get onto it, but Sterling's cart, Jesus' cart, Ferran Torres' cart, and it just seems like anyone else that wants to, then by all means, if you give us a certain fee, if we can find a replacement, then the world's gonna keep spinning. You're allowed to go, man.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, another City fan said, it's beginning to piss me off because too many are going and like, but I get it. I do get it because like if someone's not happy, then it ain't gonna work.
It's like any other working job, really. If you're not happy, you're not gonna do the best you can, really.
Yeah, I think the thing is though, City do a lot of scouting before they get a player. Like I heard on Jesus that we actually went and it was like school reports from middle school and that, like to see the work. And when you look at it, we don't really have players that moan or complain. They just get on with it, even when they've got
the prima donnas for all the ability. Normally, the Maverick guys, it depends what that side of bed they wake up. I hear that.
And when you look at Jesus and the age he came and the fact that he hasn't always been a starter, I've never heard him say anything negative. And when Pep calls on him, and we'll get into this about how when Pep calls on him, he comes. He never moans, and I think it does make sense. And I do think, like Bernardo Silva last summer wanted to leave, didn't leave, and we got one of the best seasons out of him. I think anyone that does stay, they will. But look, the one thing I do know, which is beautiful, is I trust my board and my manager so much.
I'm jealous of what you lot are doing. From the clubs you buy to the selling to the buying to you lot buy into Pep, obviously because you're winning titles and challenging, that's jealous. But it's like you lot are just forward thinking. Like it's not to be disrespectful to City, but you lot have seen the Barca model and you're putting your own spin on it. But it's like we're doing it to the best of our ability. And as a team going through a transition and a project and things like that, it's jealous. Like you lot technically, there's about 12 clubs owned by your owners all over the place. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like this summer, what I see going on is we're getting ready for dominance for another 10 years. Like it's just ages are just slightly changing and space is being made and everything. If I talk on this transfer window really, really quickly, I believe I believe the Haaland deal has been being put in place for probably about a year, right? I think
probably longer than that, bro.
Yeah. I think well, we already know with Alvarez, that was done in January. Then you look at Calvin Phillips. For me, the fact that Calvin Phillips waved to the Leeds fans on their last home game, and then from the season's ended, he ain't been linked with anyone but Man City. It's like everything is done. And then the only ones that I think with Jesus and with Sterling, all right, they weren't done, but it was kind of known that Jesus was going to go.
They were going to keep it moving, man. And
I think we've already got things in place. The only one, and this is the Ake one, I don't think they expected that one. And that's why they're saying, well, we want more money because we don't really want to have to go and start looking for a centre-back when we weren't looking for one.
Everyone's going to charge you a premium already because we're an English club. And
so you give us more money and we'll take it because he is our fourth choice. But it's just everything. And I think back to the Bernardo Silva thing, I think they'll get an extra year out of him because they'll already be looking for a Gundogan replacement next summer. And the Bernardo, we have to get someone. So they need a season to find that player. But it's just from the minute Pep landed and
you know what time it was, man.
He wanted Joe Hart out of the team, right? And
I remember the uproar around that, generally at football. Yeah.
Well, we didn't, but at the same time, if you watch like Joe Hart's last game, City fans were singing "Don't Sell Joe Hart" and whatever, but there was no bad feeling towards Pep over it because it was like, listen, we want Pep in it. We can't get a manager like that. And then the first thing he does
You're questioning what he's doing. Yeah. You can't get a blockbuster manager and be upset when he's shaking tables and that. Yeah,
exactly. And then now you look at the style of play with Edison, it makes perfect sense. So it's like, how can we not trust him? So, yeah.
What do you make of obviously I can't not have you here not speak about Grealish, because my personal opinions on Grealish, when you cost 100 million, everything you do is going to be scrutinized. But I think people are exaggerating. I think it's a case of, like at City, he's fitting in. He's not necessarily standing out. If he never cost 100 million and he came through your academy like Cole Palmer or something, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. I think where people need to give him stuff is because everything that Grealish may have been praised for at Villa, that's not going to cut it at City. He's relearning everything in his short 20 years of life that he thinks he knows about football. Pep is rewiring it and thingies like that. And I feel with Sterling and Jesus going, because he's a different player, but he fills in them positions, I think you're going to see a really good player from Grealish. What have you made as obviously a City fan on the trenches, home and away, week in, week out of Jack?
I think you pretty much nailed it, to be honest with you. You can't go right. You come from a club where literally you have the free roll to do whatever the fuck you want, right? And furthermore, you're playing against teams that aren't necessarily playing no low block, right? So you're getting space to run into and whatever else. You come to a City team where, firstly, I get it, 100 million. People are going to judge him. You can't
beat around the bush with that. Yeah,
and you're not even coming from abroad. You're coming from this league. So I do get why people would judge it. But you are coming into a different system where you're having to play against a low block most of the time. You're not being able to play the style of football you play. You're also playing a style of football where basically, if you move out of the block that you're supposed to be in, Pep will drag you. So you can't be doing none of that.
Henri spoke about that.
Yeah, you have to stay in the positions and you have to track back and you have to learn how to do all this other stuff. When I watch him play football, his style on the ball is so Pep-like. Like the way he...
I see why he was bought, 100%.
Yeah, 100. I think... I always said I'm not going to judge him till December this year. But even then, I think Pep's got an idea of playing him a lot deeper, so we'll see. It's a long-term thing. And he said, now, look, the good thing is, with Haaland coming in, people will have almost forgot about the 100 million on Grealish now.
Yeah. Well, you said for Haaland as well, because... Boy, it looked like he was all Real Madrid. It makes sense. It's romantic. Obviously, he's technically English. He's born here. His dad history. I think there's indirectly, it looks like City understand. Listen, he comes here, helps us dominate, maybe win Champions League, and then the move to Real Madrid. You can go do that if that's what you want to do. You can learn football under Pep. Seems like it's good for everybody, in my opinion, with the Haaland thing. Apart from Arsenal, who probably scored the bulk of his goals against us. But yeah, man.
With Haaland, my whole thing with him, was I don't like getting carried away with players. Like even with Foden, I wouldn't believe I kept being like, no, I need to see more. I'm not going to gas him. I need to see more. Now I see more, so I get it now. With Haaland, it's the same. I don't want to get carried away because the whole world's getting carried away. I'm seeing City fans on streams like, how many goals is he going to get next season? I'm like, this is mad. Come on, like I'm seeing 30. Just mental numbers. I'm like
almost acting like he's a superhero, not a footballer.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, the good thing about him was the shithousery.
Yeah, he's on that. 100%. People underestimate that.
And before he signed, like he was doing stuff like in interviews, filming himself, singing along to City stuff and that. I'm looking forward to Alvarez though. Is that
he looks like a bad boy signing, man. Bad boy signing. He looks sick, man. He looks proper sick. Do you think he'll go on loan or stay at the club? Because obviously, you reckon? Yeah, he'll be lit still. I think we got a question because you was on Calvin Phillips. I don't want to miss it out. What attributes? Shout out CeeLo as well. What attributes do you think Calvin will bring to midfield other than Rodri? And I'd actually throw some questions behind that. What do you make of the Calvin Phillips signing? Because I think it's a shrewd addition. As you kind of alluded to, it kind of took people by surprise. He was linked with United, but probably obviously didn't want to burn the Leeds bridges. Plus the opportunity to play for the league winners and Pep made it no-brainer if I was him, but as a City fan, where you at with that question?
Yeah. Sorry, is there an echo?
Nah, man, I can't eat shit, bro.
Just me. Right, so
minor, bro, pattern. Take your time.
Cool. With Calvin, I was a bit weary because of how good Rodri is in the Pep system. Yeah, and it's like, how can a player join a team thinking he's going to break that team when they've got the best person for that system in world football, probably, And I'm weary of players joining for the wrong reasons, like Rodwell, Sinclair back then. They
Mm-hmm.
knew they were never going to break it, yeah. But doing YouTube, you speak to other City fans or whatever, yeah. Well, I do anyway, yeah. And I listen to them and some of the stuff they speak about, and it makes sense when you look at. Firstly, we needed a Fernandinho replacement, not a Rodri like for like, a Fernandinho replacement, and that is exactly what Calvin Phillips is. His breakup play is a lot better than Rodri's. But then the other thing that's interesting is his long balls. And if you look at the type of football that massive pause, if you look at the type of football that Haaland plays and how Haaland thrives, it makes sense because
That
he
run
can
off
put them
that left
balls
hand channel, 100%.
like so. It does make sense. And then I think, yeah, it's a good 45 million. When you look at how much people are saying Declan Rice is worth, it's
arm and the leg and then some.
Yeah, it's a good signing. And by the looks of it, his attitude coming in, he seems quite humble, like he's going to be cool to kind of know that he is probably going to start playing the bench a bit. But then the other good thing is, in certain games, for example, Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, maybe Rodri and Phillips might play together because it gives that little bit more
They're in the
control.
trenches, isn't it? A bit of steel.
Yeah. So
that makes sense. And obviously for me with City, if I was Phillips, you know, you're probably not going to be as important to City as you was to Leeds, potentially not play more. But that's what comes with joining a bigger team, competing for stuff. You're going to be with better players. You're going to be learning under Pep Guardiola. You got a bunch of English players. I know Sterling's going, but still, what do you make of Raheem Sterling? Before we talk about Jesus, Raheem Sterling now, man, like, I think he's a Premier League legend. I can't speak for City and say he's a City legend, but I feel the way he joined City and the way he's leaving. In fact, the way when Pep came in to now how he's leaving says everything. Because as an outsider, I remember people saying Sterling's overrated. He's the first out the door under Pep. He became a very important player, goal-scoring player. You've got a lot of longevity out the lad, and obviously made a profit technically on a year running down. So it's business as usual, really. What's your feelings on Sterling to Chelsea?
You know what, right? So Sterling, is the highest goal scorer under Pep at City. I think he's one of the highest goal scorers, I think, ever under Pep. Yeah.
See.
And it's true. When Pep arrived, when we first signed him, there's talk that he might have actually been signed for Pep, because it was like he had a year under Pellegrini.
Yeah,
and
he must have known Pep was arriving,
It wasn't good for Pellegrini because Pellegrini played like two-touch football and Pep was like, that wasn't Sterling. And then he had that. He didn't have a bad World Cup, but the media said he had the worst World Cup, and they put it all on him. Pep came in and straight away, rang him straight away, you're an important part of the team. And Pep's improved him. Like Pep taught Sterling how to go back to basics. And the thing with Raheem Sterling is, and this is what annoys me with City fans when they get at him. Will you put him through one-on-one? He won't score. Yeah, he won't know whether he's going to shoot, pass around the keeper.
He's a high volume of chances. Facts.
He misses chances. But I always say it's like that brethren that you've had for 20 years, and you accepted 20 years ago that they're shit with money, right? And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, you want to start moaning about them being shit with money. It's like, bro, you accepted them 20 years ago. You can't.
You know what you see is what you get. You know he's going to run like that and miss tap-ins and
So that's the
high
thing.
volume player.
The thing is with him, is his qualities are, firstly, his pace, but that's not massive. Secondly, is his ability to listen to managers and put it into practice.
Yep. If you can't do it under Pep, you're in trouble.
His work ethic, is just undeniable. His fitness is top tier. And also, I actually think, I've been thinking about this recently, his passing is underrated because if I go back and think about some of the 1-2s he used to play with David Silva, you can't.
And his movement's quality as well.
Yeah, and now that's the key, his movement. What Pep taught him, and this is where I'm not quite getting the Chelsea thing yet, but I'm sure Thomas Tuchel knows what he's doing, is it's undeniable. I've looked at the numbers. His best seasons, by far and away, goals and assists, are when he was playing alongside Aguero. Since Aguero's left, his numbers have dropped. And that,
I wouldn't have known that, That's
bro, mad. And I'm not just meaning
numbers
numbers
based on the media narrative. Wow.
It's based on his. I'm not just meaning numbers. I'm meaning per 90 numbers. That they are drastically down, and that's why I don't quite get the Chelsea thing unless they get a number 9. Because to get,
I'm so happy you said that. I still think they need a number 9 as well. I think Sterling's
Bro,
quality.
it don't make
but
sense.
It's gonna be the same. It's not gonna be the same thing with Lukaku. I think Sterling will cook. He fits the system. I think sometimes you've got to judge players at their best, but at their worst. And I think at Sterling's worst, he will fit into what Chelsea are doing. It's stupid for me to say he's not a goal scorer because he's got that, and he's definitely got movement. But it's almost indirectly the same thing with Lukaku in that Chelsea just need a gunman, one chance, one finish. Sterling, as you just said, isn't exactly that. So I think he's gonna cook, but I do think there's gonna be reinforcements there.
You know what? The thing is, yeah. We just spoke about his movement. His movement is sensational, but what Pep taught him is when you've got, like, say, when you're playing for a team like City and you've got a player like Aguero, where the defenders are watching Aguero's every move, right? And then you've got other runners, right? What Raheem Sterling was so good at is if everyone's making runs, he'll just notice where there's space and drop back, right, and get the
very
tackle.
underrated.
Because
the quality of
you need
footballer.
the 9 making them runs to do that. So what I would say is Raheem Sterling is he's top 10 goal scorers for Man City of all time. He is maybe a legend, you could say, because without all of his goals and assists,
what City legend, or I think he's a Prem legend, but
he's a Prem legend. It's a hard one with define legend, I guess. But you take away his goals and assists, do we win all the Premier Leagues we did? No, not a chance in hell, right? So he's contributed to that massively. What I would say is, if Chelsea want, let's say Chelsea agreed to pay him about 310, 320, because they need to pay him more than he's on now. To get the 320 Sterling, you need a number 9. Otherwise, you're going to get a baller, but you're probably going to be paying him a bit too much money for what you're going to get out of him. And it is a good signing, but they need more to make it a good signing.
Would you say you're shocked that Sterling kept it moving or going to Chelsea? Because
when I find out what the wage is, I'll tell you.
Huh?
When I find out the wage, I'll tell you.
To be fair, I can't blame him, man.
Well, he's got a year left. He's got a year left. I always said all season, I've been saying, I predicted what he would do is wait till the end of next season and join Newman on a free.
Reckon? Nah, man, we can't offer him. I think if Arsenal called him, he'd listen, but we can't offer him certified stuff. It's like if Conte called him, just Conte, not Spurs. I think he would listen to Conte, but then Spurs can't offer him anything. I think that's where Chelsea meet in the middle. You get the London. They did win the Champions League. They have won the Premier League. That's more true. Recent. True. I admittedly thought just the way he used to talk, I felt definitely he wouldn't leave this season. I thought he might run it down and go somewhere for free. Because he just speaks about playing abroad, and obviously he's 27, 28, so he could still do that, but it is what it is. I've kind of been violating this guy. So shout out Ben. He's asked a question in relation to what we're doing. How you doing, Deluded? Do you both feel with the signing of Jesus? Do you both feel the signing of Jesus would be more able to give him true service that he would need if we don't get a good number 8 to be able to create more gaps? I'm not too sure, man. I'm gonna leave that to you as someone who knows about Jesus, man. I just think obviously naturally he's going to have attacks, bro, because he's not got them attackers that we ain't got the attackers that you, man, have. So
let me just read this again.
Would he be more able to give him true service that he would need?
Give who?
I don't know. I think Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but does he think we need a better service from behind Gabriel Jesus to feed him passes in behind? I don't know. I think if that's it, then obviously, yeah.
So one thing, if we talk on Jesus now, one thing that I've said to a few Arsenal content creators and fans when speaking on Jesus is, because I always get asked, can he be the number 9? Yeah. And it's such a hard question because at City, right, so we presume when he arrives at Arsenal, Arteta's already told him he's going to be the number 9. So the confidence is there. He's going to start straight away playing the number 9 role. So the only time I can compare that to Manchester City is when he first arrived at Manchester City. And he arrived and instantly was put in the team. Aguero was dropped and he played through the middle and he scored 9 in 11, right? So a confident Gabriel Jesus playing through the middle scored 9 in 11. After that, he got an injury for a period. Then after that, Aguero was back in the team and he was always kind of playing second fiddle or playing wide right. Now, so that is the only way I can answer that. Can he be clinical sometimes? But you can't judge a striker when their confidence is low because
you're not going to.
And they're not getting a run of games. The most he'd ever get is probably like 4 games on the bounce. Then he'll be like he'll hold bench or whatever. So it's hard to judge a striker based on that. What you will get is a player wherever he plays that. Firstly, I think he is one of the best players in the Premier League at leading the press from the front.
Something Arteta needs, it loves,
unbelievable.
and wants and needs in our team.
Second thing is he knows how to play systems. 100%. He's been playing
Facts.
under Pep. Thirdly is he's definitely got a winning mentality.
Facts.
He's won 4 Premier Leagues.
Not even, but without even the Premier League, you just look at the man's life and his drive to become a footballer, as you know more than me. And scenes about how he 2014 World Cup or whatever, he's painting the streets. And now look at him. So I don't doubt that. My only problem is for that, I just feel Arsenal fans, we always do this thing, whether it's Odegaard, whether it's whoever, we just think they're going to come in as a magic man and their mentality is going to rub off on everyone. Everyone has to buy into that, really. And sometimes
and that's what Arteta's been pushing from
the
start, right? That's what Arteta's been pushing from the start. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
You're right on that.
Now, the one thing when people say, will he get this number of goals or whatever, what I can say is, will he score 15 league goals? I don't know.
And
do I believe that Arsenal will score more goals because of Jesus? Yes, I do.
100%.
His runs will leave space everywhere. That's what he does. He creates a madness on
and how he pulled above. I can't lie to you. I'm happy about the signing of Jesus. He pulls into wide areas well. Link up play. I think that will aid Saka and Odegaard, particularly on the right hand side. As you said, you speak to his Brazil manager or Pep. They speak about the system and things like that. He's only 25. Listen, if Arsenal are not doing certain things and he's able to score goals, then hopefully we can get into a scenario where there may or may not be some resale value. In the goals thing is a techie one because on one hand, I feel, you're never going to be the main man. He had to adapt his game to the number of players at City. So on one hand, I think yes. But on the other hand, I think I can only go off what you have in it. I'm only going off hypotheticals. If I look at it kind of harshly, I know he's not Lacazette, but Lacazette could kind of do these things that Jesus could do to a different level. But the problem with goals, we've almost kind of bought the same sort of guy. If I look at it on a lazy view. So that's the area that is a concern. Like, I don't really know, bro.
You're not wrong on that. I did think the comparisons to Lacazette are kind of similar.
That's the thing. That's the thing, man. But it's like, I just think, you know what, I think he's one. I'm gonna give him the luxury of, obviously, you can be a main man at Arsenal. You was a main man at City, but you get it. There's less stars around. You got a point to prove. You've got a World Cup coming in. You've got your guy Arteta who knows you and all these things. So I'm kind of moving away from Jesus. I kind of don't need any excuses from Arteta because I just feel in the last 18 months in particular, or 2 years, even when Aubameyang was scoring, when Lacazette's come in, when Eddie's come into the team, in my 27 years, it's almost unheard of that a striker, I wouldn't say it's necessarily enjoyable at Arsenal because there's not a bunch of service. You're not being presented with issues. You mentioned low blocks. Arsenal can't break down the low block. So to a degree, Jesus can make any runs he wants. If, to go back to your Sterling example, if Jesus makes a run and no one's intelligent to think, let me pick up on that, we're gonna kind of be in trouble. What is your thoughts on, like, obviously, Jesus in general? You've seen him for a while. He's contributed to your Premier League. Like, how do you feel about seeing him go? All of these things. Are you somewhat sad? What is it?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy that it came now. Yeah, because for a while I feel like some City fans haven't got him, and this season, especially the end of this season, all of a sudden it seemed to click in a lot of City fans just how important he was. I think it's when he. On that one thing, I think he scored 4 goals. It might be Watford. He scored 4 goals.
As soon as he got linked with Arsenal, he scored 4 goals, and he's
like, it literally, what it was that weekend. And from that point, it's like all of a sudden, City fans started to get him more. And I'm not saying all. There were I'm not saying City fans didn't rate him, but it was never really until that point this season. And then from then, when people say, "Oh, he's not a starter," if you look at this season, when the season started getting on top for City, he was a regular.
He was in the trenches,
He was a regular. And here's another thing. Twice this season, and I'm pretty certain other seasons, we've had Champions League games before we play Liverpool, right? Start of the season, we had, I think it went Chelsea, PSG, Liverpool. He got dropped against PSG, right? And I said, boom, he's starting against Liverpool. Later in the season, again, when we play Liverpool, he's starting against Liverpool. And it's because, and again, this goes against the goals thing, but when you're playing teams like Liverpool, where you have to be so on point and pressing.
There's no hiding at all.
And Pep every time. It's like, was it some park for United?
Yeah, big game specialist.
And Pep will do that with Jesus. He trusts him. And when you've got managers like Pep that are trusting a player,
there's got to be something to the lad, isn't it?
I think it took a while for your fan base to warm around to it as well.
Because they were just being lazy and look at, well, again, like you couldn't speak for all City fans. I think some fans were entertaining it, but it's like they didn't understand what we can get in Jesus, really and truly. A lot of the things, and I think Arsenal fans are a bit weird in that they've just got to give the guy chances. I feel we've got no in between. We almost waffle about the fact that he hasn't got 20 league goals, which there is some value, or we just focus on the fact that he's a system striker. On one hand, I think if you're not scoring goals, you shouldn't be here, but at the same time, you have to judge players when the whole team's not doing well. And you could see how Jesus could fit in. As I said, he pulls out into wide channels, he plays 1-2s. Just by looking at his goals, they're all in the penalty box. So Arteta needs to learn. We need to give the guy service, and he'll score.
But when he arrived, all he looked like to me that first half season, because he arrived in January, all he looked like to me was like, and he was getting compared to a bit, was Fat Ronaldo, because he just looked like an absolute
Ronaldo,
poacher.
100%.
He looked like a poacher. He didn't look, there was nothing. It wasn't like we were getting no techie Brazilian or nothing. It was like, this guy's just scoring goals he should score. Yeah. And that's what I say, that if you play him through the middle from the start, none of this nonsense that you men have done before with Lacazette, where you bought him and he hardly played for the first however long, and then by the time he did start playing, Aubameyang was there, and it was like
6 months into his time at Arsenal, bro.
That's what, bro. And his confidence is gone. You can't put you can't put a strike on the bench for 6 months after you paid that much for him, and then when you play him, expect him to be a gunman, because you took his straps away when you put him on the bench. He's not a gunman no more. Like,
what do you make of the confidence thing? Sorry to cut you, because obviously I'm not going to be naive. I hope it's all sunshine and rainbows. He plays well every game, but as you know, he's going to be under the microscope. I think Arsenal fans and the media do this thing where we look at, he's got the name, but we look at Jesus to be our savior. There's obviously there's a bit of tax I have to give, because we're not as good as you lot. We don't create like you lot. And obviously there's going to be a certain level of scrutiny, really, if he's not scoring goals. You saw it with Ronaldo, didn't score for United in about 2-3 games. Salah was stuck on 20. Kane, was on 17, but they were onto him. What do you make of that? Now, I've got no doubt about him. He's got the mentality, but it's like the scrutiny is going to be crazy.
Nah, it will be hard on him. I'm telling you now. He's come out before and said that he puts pressure on himself. He puts way too much pressure on himself. And I feel this was the first season. Yeah, he's been playing wide for seasons, right? But it was never labelled as that. Whereas this season, it was being labelled from the start of the season that he's playing out wide and they're playing Ferran Torres through the middle, right? And all of a sudden, I feel he was playing better, because it was like he don't have that. The minute you're playing as a wide forward as opposed to a number 9, there's less pressure to score.
Yeah, and you said, he's a system striker, so you can just do your job. It's a bit like how he's playing for Brazil at times, and he went through the 9, and it didn't really work. You're right.
If you start him and he hits the ground running, I think he'll score a lot. I think he could. If that happens, he could score way over 15 league goals.
What would you say the target for him in the league?
15 league goals.
I'd say 15. I need 15, 20 from you, Jesus, for everything else you do. I just feel Arsenal, there's no way around it. You need a striker. Whatever you're trying to do in the Prem, you need that. Who would you say is the better signing and value for money then between Sterling and Jesus?
Oh, interesting one. Right, before I answer that, I've been saying to a few people, asking people, who's the better signing? Say Chelsea get Rafinha. Let's say Tottenham got Richarlison and you man got Jesus, right? And for me, all day long, maybe I am a little biased, but I'm going with Jesus all day long. I think the reason why Jesus didn't go to Spurs was probably because that front three at Spurs is quite hard to.
We can offer you a place through the middle. Them man are just, it's like what City got. You're a good player for the squad. You might even force your way into the team and that.
Yeah, but the difference is with Jesus, he can operate at an elite level, right?
Yeah.
With Richarlison and with Rafinha, you don't know that yet. You don't know that yet, because they and you don't know what they're going to be like as well. When I've said this massively on Richarlison in particular, you don't know what them man are going to be like, because they're coming from Everton and Leeds, where when they're fit they play, right? When them man are fit in a season where they're trying to get a seat on a plane, if they're fit and they don't start, are they going to be cool with that? And what they're going to do in your dressing room, right?
This is the thing.
So I feel them two are far more risky signings than Jesus.
I think Rafinha's calm because it's Barca. I think Jesus got the platform.
If it's
Richarlison's Conte factor, yeah, he's got the Conte factor. And I mean, Richarlison can't be an idiot. Like, I know you bought for 60 million, but if you're not assuming Kulusevski stays out wide, if you don't take Kulusevski's spot every day of the week, Son and Kane are playing. You must know that, and you're playing Champions League.
Does he though, or does he actually rate himself that highly? I don't know.
Yeah. This is one where we wish we knew these players individually and things like that. If I'm honest with you.
As for Sterling, Jesus at then too. If they get a number 9, maybe Sterling, but if they don't, then Jesus.
Do you know what it is? It's a techie one because I think, and I don't know what this comment is. I don't know if someone misheard me. I didn't say Jesus was not an upgrade on Lacazette. Disclaimer: he's clear of him in all aspects.
Just a similar player.
It's just a similar sort of logic. In that regards, I think where Sterling might look a bit better is that I don't want to say it too many times, but Chelsea are better than us, so naturally it's going to be like that. And I just think Thomas Tuchel is a better manager and coach than Mikel Arteta. I just feel our striker should be our first defender, Ramsdale should be our first attacker, and I just feel when you look at City, exactly. I feel when you look at City, it's almost like it's not that the striker isn't important, but the striker is just icing on top of the cake. The midfield is sorted, the defense is sorted. Even if we got Rafinha and a certain centre midfielder in Telemans, whoever to go with Jesus, I'm not saying I'm not confident with Arteta, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do something on the coaching front to get a tune out of them. So I think that's where Sterling cooks at City. I think Chelsea. I think Jesus can cook here, but where I'm going against Jesus is we always sign players, and just to me as an ignorant fan on the pitch, it's like we don't understand what we're doing really, and there's a discount with that.
Do you think that Arteta is thinking he's going to play Jesus wide right and Nketiah through the middle?
I've been saying this on my channel. There's every reality that could happen. You know, if Eddie keeps going how he left last season, or he plays his way into the team, then naturally Jesus should play out wide. And I mean, I'm all for that. There might be a reality, unfortunately, where Saka gets injured. Jesus needs to do a job. Eddie goes through the middle. You need these multifunctional players. Of course, I want to see Jesus play through the middle, be that 15-20 league goal man, be the Brazilian hero that I think he can, because I think there's potential in the lad. I think he's done great at City, and I just think obviously you're dropping off a level in joining us in City, but I think it's now time to shine in your own right. Like you're not necessarily the first player when we thought of City. Realistically, you can't underestimate his team, his attributes across the season. But now it's time for you to be a somewhat leader. And you're 25 years of age. You've got all the Brazilian youths here. Arteta can vouch for you. I think players should be excited about him. But I'm just scared about the service he's going to be given. Because again, there's not too many intelligent players, in my opinion, throughout our squad.
And that. What I just said there about playing Nketiah through the middle is when I said earlier about I don't know if he's going to get X number of goals, but I do believe Arsenal will score more goals. Is if you've got someone like Jesus, and even if say Jesus comes and say he ends up playing out wide and scores 11, 12 league goals, because usually he does hit double figures for us, right? The runs he makes is going to leave more space for Nketiah. And by what we saw at the end of the season, Nketiah can be clinical. So,
but this is what I mean about intelligence, bro, because at City, you have to think. If somebody does, like that example you said, a next player has to think, oh, there's space there. I'm not saying Arsenal are not intelligent. Of course, they're professional footballers. But that's where the Arsenal tax comes into it, because I don't think they're, especially when we're playing a low block, I can already see Jesus peeling out to the right-hand side. I only really see him, Odegaard, Saka to a degree, and I'm missing out a couple as really having that somewhat sort of link-up play. The rest are not really on that level for me. But you're right, man.
I don't know, man. Listen, City fans want him to do well. I'm telling you that now. But at the same time, if Arsenal fans start turning on him, City fans are going to be pissed off.
No, Arsenal fans are, man. They love and hate you every day.
He's leaving us with City fans kind of wishing him well. It's funny because he's younger, but it's similar to what City do is we buy players, and when we buy them, we think we're buying a player of a certain quality that we're going to want to keep for 10 years. And we buy them thinking, and companies spoke on this before, that when you arrive at Manchester City, you'll get respected and you will get everything you want in life, right? And everything. And as long as you play well, you will continue and you will stay. And when it comes to the time of you leaving, they will let you go on a free transfer, because they'll be like, listen, that was a long relationship. We've sweated our asset. Our asset has done everything for us. You can go.
A bit like Sterling to a slight degree, yeah.
Well, you can go through every season. If you go back every season, so next season, I already know, next season, free transfer, Gundogan. This season, Fernandinho. Last season was Aguero. Season before was David Silva. Season before was Yaya Toure. Season before was Vincent Kompany. Season before was
Receipts.
Zabaleta. They do it And we already know they've told Gundogan 1 more year, you go on a free because you've served us, and it's always one. I think after, I could probably even say after Fernandinho, it might be De Bruyne, maybe. I don't know, but maybe not. De Bruyne's got maybe a bit.
He looks like he might just sign a deal, though.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know, but it generally does that. Whereas this season, what we've done with Jesus and Sterling, I feel slightly is definitely with Jesus. Sterling, maybe not, but definitely with Jesus is similar to what we did with Zeko, which is, do you know what? You have served us and you have done everything we've asked you to do, but you're not getting the praise that you deserve because unfortunately in your position, we have someone better. So you know what? I think Pep's got that respect for him to say, go and do your thing. Because deep down, does he want to play for Real Madrid one day in his life? Probably. Right.
Fact.
Is he? If he stays at City, is he ever going to get that move playing the way he is at City? If he goes to Arsenal, plays through the middle and has three good seasons, banging goals, could he get that move?
Yeah, it's going to happen, and that's where I want it to be in Arsenal's case, because obviously we need to realize we're not competing for major honors. You're paying people in their early to mid 20s. If you could sell Jesus, reinvest that properly, similar to Coutinho at Liverpool or Odegaard or something, then we might help us. Last question before I let you get out of here as well. One thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you feel about City selling to rivals? I can't say Arsenal and City are rivals, but, we've got Jesus, Sterling, you lot have bucked them in Champions League finals, and they were saying last summer Chelsea are the ones to kind of get at you at Liverpool. How do you feel about selling to rivals and things like that?
That is where my brethren was saying to me that he's a bit pissed off with this. You know what, if you want to go. Because it's one thing if you want to go Barcelona and players that, like the ones that we've done that with so far, you wouldn't put in the same bracket as Sterling and Jesus. Like... Garcia, Ferran Torres, they're not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, man.
It's brave, it's ballsy, but listen, if Chelsea get a number 9, firstly, that could really come back.
Yeah, the Sterling one's more hurtful for you than I feel with Jesus. We're just in a completely different lane to you lot. The Chelsea one might be a shot in your foot, really. Especially
because we could come against them in the Champions League as well, and they don't have Liverpool heritage, but they have history in the Champions League. And then we're giving them
it's written in the stars. The next player comes to hit
They've
you.
They've already beat us in the Champions League final, bro. And we've just gone and given them one of our highest goal scorers of the last 10 years, right? That is a bit mad. It's ballsy, though. Like I said, I mean, I trust my board. They've done it for a reason. Maybe they've seen that, you know what, he isn't going to work there. With you lot, I'll be 100, yeah. Watch the when we play you, the City fans will be cheering for Jesus. Like he
deserves that, man. He's been a good serviceman for you, man. He deserves that. He deserves that. And just the fact that you said, for me with Liverpool, the very fact that he plays well against Liverpool and scores against Liverpool, for me, that's a step in the right direction with us. Man. We're Arsenal fans. We're happy if we've turned up against Liverpool, unfortunately, for 45 minutes, and our fans are like, well, up until the first goal came in. Go on.
What it is, with Arteta, right? And I've been Arteta in. I personally thought when he took the job, he took it a bit early. Yeah,
very early, bro. You got no qualifications, really.
Like, what was it? One season, maybe one season. Maybe 2.
The only thing I gave him is he turned it down a year before. So I was thinking, all right, cool. They've said something, or maybe you think you're ready.
Yeah, and also let me be clear. That season he left us, that was a season we didn't win the league. That hit us because Pep didn't have an assistant. And the way Pep operates, he tries to keep a gap between him and the players. And that was Arteta. Arteta was the one that would come to, he had the relationship with the players and would come to Pep over, like, there's one on the Amazon Prime thing where he came to Pep talking about Sterling, saying Sterling's upset and whatever. And you're still there? Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah. But then when he joined you, I was thinking, I don't know, man. Then his first interview, I just thought, he has learned a lot of Pep, because he was saying, I think he kind of was saying there's a lot that needs to change at this club. Like everyone here are pulling in different directions. The mentality is
kept banging on about that. And he said a comment where he's like, oh, I knew it was difficult, but seeing certain things, I can see it's going to take longer. So that's why I was like, all right, cool. There's things behind the scene. Like, you have to really change it.
Oh, you have to. And this is the thing. And when you watch the Amazon Prime documentary on City, that was some of the key things that you'd see, that like Pep would walk in and like say hello to the receptionist, the people even the people making the food, even in the Harlem video, that was one of the first people they introduced him to. And it's like everyone has to be pulling. Everyone from here to here has to have the same vision.
The family. If there's one single screw loose, then the thing's going to break. Really, it's going to collapse.
City brought in this, I can't remember what sport it is, but some sort of like, it might even be that table tennis football thing to try and keep people at the academy after training so they're together for longer. They all have to eat together. So, yeah. Now, the luxury Pep had is when he came to City, firstly, the board had been there for 2 years and they were his people getting it ready for him. He had one season, which we finished third and won nothing. And then he said, right, the issue is we can't play out from the back. Our defence needs completely replacing. We need a new keeper. We need new fullbacks. And he got it all one summer, right? And a board that back him. And this is where I say, if Arteta, I do agree, if Arteta doesn't perform this season, I feel he needs to go. However, if he does go, the one thing that every single Arsenal fan should appreciate is that he has come and changed the mentality of your board. Whether it's a coincidence that your board was doing it already, I don't know. But I used to say that Arsenal bought players for the wrong reason. They bought players that were commercial
and gave new contracts.
Yeah. And those players came to Arsenal not with the right mentality. They came to Arsenal because they were the big club in London and they were fashionable, right?
Yeah.
None of that anymore under Arteta.
Still riding off that slightly, but you're right, not really there again.
Not really. If you look at the players he got in last summer, like they look like players that have come in for the right reason. And the other thing is he had to get rid of some big personalities and some big ass wages. Yeah. And Pep would never have to do that. If Pep gets asked about a transfer, he says, I don't know, nothing to do with me. And that's it. Yeah. Whereas Arteta's having to do all of that. And that was what Wenger did as well. So I think you have to give him credit for that. I do get it. It's been how many seasons now? 3?
Yeah, 3, 2 full ones now. It's a results-driven business. That's where I agree. That's where I feel there's only some people, and you don't support Arsenal, but we can have this conversation. I feel when it comes to a lot of Arsenal related, but when it comes to Arteta, you can't just blame the guy and you can't overpraise the guy. And I feel with Arsenal fans, some he can do nothing wrong, to some he can do nothing right, where the truth's in the middle. Like you said, after pause, I think he's let his nuts hang. He's puffed out his chest. He's made some big and bold decisions. I think he's done a lot of good things. Where it now, for I'm a bit different, is your early 40s. You've taken a job that you're underqualified for, where you've had to deal with a whole lot of things on and off the field. That is going to make you a great manager for whatever you do, whether that's at Arsenal, back to City, somewhere in Spain, Siberia, whatever. That's my biggest issue. It now becomes, are we Arteta FC or Arsenal FC? And we need to be able to pull the plug. Do I have much faith that if Arteta said I'm going home tomorrow, this club knows what they're doing? I don't think so. And where I get a bit annoyed with it is, I have to be honest, there's been times where Arteta's done really good and we fought for 5th, but there's been times managers at other clubs, they get sacked. And I feel there's some things that he should or shouldn't be praised for. And I just feel it's a results-driven business. Money's been spent. You are the manager now. You're not just the head coach like Emre. You've been given a lot of luxuries. And it's a relationship of convenience, because I do think he puts pressure on the board, but he couldn't do the Pep thing, the Carlo thing. And
no.
And they haven't got a demanding person like that. Yeah. That's where I think it's helped.
Do you know the one thing I'll say on the manager, and this I was saying this if you go back to when Wenger was still in charge, and Arsenal fans were saying get rid of Wenger, and I was saying, listen, I don't get what you expect, If you get rid of Wenger, who are you getting, right? And they'd be going, I think at the time maybe Simeone, I think maybe his name was mentioned, and
Arsenal fans wanted to spend 70 million on Isaac, bro. Like they're lost, man. They're lost.
But
sometimes.
See with Simeone, I go right. Okay, let's take this away from football, right, and go into any walk of life where it's an interview process, right? If you're a bad boy in your job, you go to the interview, they ask you some questions, and then you go, right, now let me ask you some questions, right? And the questions that Simeone, for example, at the time, I think he was probably, he was Simeone, innit? He's going to say, right, where do you want me to finish? Oh, well, top 4, right? And what's my budget to finish in top 4?
Just like with Carlo. They all listen to the phone call. Once these things are broken down, myth, safe. I'm not doing it.
And that's what I'm saying, because you're coming from a league where he's competing at the time with an elite Barcelona and Real Madrid and doing a good job in the Champions League, getting to latter stages and being backed. He's going to go, nah, you know what? If I'm going to leave this job, I'm going to go somewhere where they want me to win the Champions League or the Premier League, and they give me 500 million to do it. So if Arteta goes, that is the question. Who next? And
that's the thing. And that's where it shouldn't be a thing, because arguably now, long gone are the days of, you mentioned Wenger, Alex Ferguson. The club should always be ticking. Like, I know your team, you might not be doing what Pep's doing if he leaves, but there's going to be someone that put his own spin on it. But they've got their own little. It's kind of the same mentality.
Yeah,
I feel a bit sorry for Arteta in the sense of, obviously January, you know, you had beef with Aubameyang, you didn't bring in players. You have to soldier some of the blame in it. But when I look at January, when I look at the talk even this summer about how we wanted to get X, Y, and Z done before we go off to Germany, and that's not happened, I do think there's evident ways of being frustrated by him, and he feels a bit hopeless. But at the same time, where my sympathy runs out is, you knew the job. You knew this ain't the Hilton. You knew this is barely travel lodge. So you can't complain about the standard of the room. You've got to kind of do this thing, really. So it's a mixed bag. And where I am at with Arteta now, I know you're a good coach, and I know you can plan well, clearly. But in games, sometimes you struggle to react. And I need to know, are you a good coach or you a good manager? Because arguably being a manager is more important than being a coach. You can't get around it. Pep's a great coach. But as you said, you know, there's ways of dealing with players, especially with player power. And I feel, again, I want this to be in life. This is a relationship of convenience, innit? I don't want us to be more useful to Arteta or we're more useful to him. It doesn't matter if he's going to be this great manager if we're not going to see even a tiny percentage of this. Like, you know, if you got us back in the top four and you was the manager they say you can do, and Pep says I'm leaving and City want to take you back, then by all means go and do that. But this is where we need to pull the plug, and that's where I think it gets a bit unhealthy, in that Arteta can be praised or criticized, but when there's that healthy amount of pressure, even Pep has it, it makes you thrive. I do think there is pressure on Arteta, but from a sporting excellence point of view, I don't really feel there is. And for me, I just want my team to be competitive, and the Simeone advice was great. The thing you said was great, because that's one thing you think of, competition, competitive. I don't think there's any rational Arsenal fan that definitely in today's day and age can expect to talk to you in Liverpool right now. Definitely while Liverpool got Klopp. But we just want to be competitive. Things like where top four is there, go and get it done. And as much as how I'm not an Arteta in or out, but I think there's more reasons to keep him. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't got no evidence, but I do think a more experienced manager gets top four. And there's times where he does little things, bro, where I see the angle, but he's doing it at the wrong time. Like I look back at Brighton at home. He went with Lokonga as a lone 6, and like Odegaard and Smith Rowe as rotating 8. I like that. I want us to be able to do that. But they're not. You're not working with the City players. Yeah, not in that game, not that time. They're not where, you know. You mentioned Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, or Jesus and stuff. The level of intelligent experience that man got is ridiculous. Our guys don't even really, like Smith Rowe and Odegaard, they don't really know who they are as footballers yet, so they can't really do that. And you're doing it against Graham Potter. That's what, for all the tactical stuff. Sometimes I think when he bucks these guys that are decent at this tactical thing, he kind of struggles. But then I look back in the game we lost to you lot, where I do think there were some factors with us playing better. You had 2 games that week, and we were so happy to show that we've kind of proven people wrong. So you kind of bucked a jubilant side. I think he kind of done Pep tactically there. We let ourselves down at the end, where obviously
immaturity. It was just immaturity.
Yeah, that's where I feel there's something in him. But this is where, if we could get the balance right, then there's something in Arteta. If we just leave Arteta to his own devices, he's going to struggle. If he does all the good things and we don't help him, we're going to be in trouble. So I hope we do help him. And one thing that scares me the most and whatnot is, like you mentioned with Pep, you've got, even if Pep was inexperienced, you've got experienced guys above him. We've got Edu, who's a novice in this thing, and you've got Arteta, and you've got a board who, you know, more Arsenal fans are more negative than positive. So it's a mixed bag. You're going to keep getting what you got last season at best and things like that. It's kind of jarring.
Do you know one manager I think you man should keep an eye on? You might already. Van Bronckhorst.
He looks decent, man. I want Galtier, but he's gone PSG, man. Or Gasperini.
You see when I think it was when Pep's first contract was coming up at City, Van Bronckhorst got given a free rein to come and just be about. Yeah. And this is a good thing that I know if Pep, our board will know if Pep's leaving a good year and a half before he leaves. That's the relationship.
That dialogue, that relationship. That's the right word for it.
And at that point, they start. Well, at that point, back then, they didn't know if he would. So Van Bronckhorst was brought in to start see what's going on. Now you look, and then he disappeared. I don't know. I think did he go Holland or wherever it was?
Sure, he's rocked up at Rangers or something, isn't it?
Rangers, and he's changing the way they play football. He's getting them playing nice football. He could be someone that Arsenal could get without having top 4. Like,
these are the guys we need to look at. Even I'm not going to lie, I wasn't really rating him at first, but now that he's doing the Palace thing, I'm taking Vieira. Really, give me one more season, 2 more years. Yeah,
He did us both in it Monday nights. Did us both
he packed us both. He took 4 points off us. That's a big reason. Both of them games,
same, bro.
Both the games against Palace, sum up why Arsenal never got top 4. Against them at home, we failed to hold on to a lead, much like you lot. Away from home, much like any time we've gone away from home, when it's just this fighting thing, this football is not football. We struggle with that culture shock, really and truly. And that's where I'm looking at Arteta, because I feel a team is a reflection of the manager. And I feel when you look at the players at Arsenal, much like Arteta, respectfully, they're young and hungry. They're nobodies in this game right now. So when it goes negative, I can't sit here and not say that. And I was having this conversation with a brethren who supports Spurs, and he was bantering, but then he's being serious. He said, Arteta won the FA Cup when there was no crowd. And he said not to belittle it. And it merely got me thinking, it's like, you can't take anything away from how he did it. But how much of a factor was that really? Because that's something Arsenal struggled with, really.
Oh, listen, City, I'm pretty certain, have only won at Anfield during COVID season.
This is it. Because, again, that's our problem. When it becomes this, not even just football, it's just this thing. We struggle, bro. We struggle.
Yeah, 100%. I do think there was something mad, the Premier League putting both of us, against Crystal Palace at pivotal times in our seasons on a Monday night. I'm not going to lie, bro.
They know what time it is, man.
Bro, I was calling it. The minute I saw we had Palace on a Monday night, like good month or two before, I was like, we're losing that game. Well, we didn't lose. We're dropping points, man, because, and I don't know, coincidence or not, but yeah, anyway.
I can't lie, Daps. This has been fantastic, man. We've gone a bit left with the convo, but this has been great. If you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, big up yourself. Once again, let them know where they can find you, man. I can't imagine they don't know, but let's.
Yeah. So Instagram's MCFC Daps, and the YouTube channel is Never a Foul on YouTube. Yeah. So
make sure you give them a follow, a subscribe. I am subscribed, as you can see. This is incog mode. So
and you know what, and just to say on air, So when we first started Never a Foul, right, Deluded Gooner was one of the names that we were. I remember us having a conversation about your work ethic,
Appreciate
and that. I don't know if you'd done if you'd spoken it or something, but I remember this story that you basically decided you're putting it all into YouTube and
man, no more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and no lie, every single during COVID period, and I worked from home in this room, and every morning I'd come out. And I'm not an Arsenal fan yet. I don't watch, and I'm not one of these fans that likes watching AFTV to laugh at them. Where I don't watch Arsenal channels, right? But every morning when I came out here, I'd put my TV on, and Deluded Gooner would be on my screen, and I was saying to people, "What the algorithms were just in your favor, bro." But I have
to appreciate the fans, man, because if they didn't hit the like buttons and follow, then the YouTube algorithms wouldn't bless it, man. And I have to appreciate you for offering up your time during the working day, man. I need to get over on you lot's channel and stuff like that.
100. Actually, I've got a show lined up for you anyway, bro. So
so there you have it, people. Make sure you're following on Never a Foul. And again, when this, obviously you can't do it on Twitch, but when this gets re-uploaded onto YouTube, all his information will be in the description. Don't be lazy. Support the thing in it. It's as simple as that, man. It is what it is. In relation to when I'm next back, in fact, before, where's my manners, man? Let them know again where I know you got a show this evening. Let them know again.
Yeah, so I will be on I'll be on Matisse's Twitch at 9 o'clock for the Love Island watch along. And then I will be on Never a Foul at 10:30 with a fan phone in. So yeah, anyone want to call in? Jump on there, talk for like 5 minutes max on whatever the hell you want to talk on, as long as it's football related.
Exactly. So then make sure you're there, man. I need to get a talk show going, but I'm shook at that, bro. I can't lie. You got nerves still, bro. Guys do some stupid stuff with that.
I hear you. It is. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. But we gotta make it. We gotta make it happen, man. But yeah, Daps, man. Shout out yourself for doing this, people. I'll be back at 4 p.m. I've got Jess from She Knows Arsenal. So yeah, we'll make sure you're hearing that. And we're there in it, man. We're back again, man. So yeah, man. Love for that, Daps. Let's get out of here, bro.
Let's
save people.
There's always that active red light defending. I think it's like